Department of General Surgery. I'm an assistant professor from Sree Balaji Medical College. So today I'm going to be talking to you about tuberculosis. I have 8 publications and many other papers under my name. So we will be talking in detail about tuberculosis and its implications. So what is tuberculosis? It is an infection. It is chronic in nature, producing granuloma, and it is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So why should we know about this? Tuberculosis is a predominant cause of death in the developing countries because it produces various complications that we do not recognize. So what are the types of TB? It is 2 types, primary tuberculosis and secondary tuberculosis. Primary it occurs in the lungs. Secondary, when it is reactivated in the lungs, you call it a secondary TB, or when it goes to another site, it is called a secondary TB. So what is the etiology? It is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis and its complexes. So we have to know which agent is causing what. So primarily it is causes by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. When it comes to the abdomen, it is by Mycobacterium bovis. So how does it get transmitted? The transmission is through airborne. So when the patient who's suffering from TB, when their droplets, you come in contact with that, then you are susceptible to get infected by TB. So what happens when you inhale? When you inhale, the tubercular bacilli gets lodged in your alveoli, where the alveolar macrophages act on it, and it starts an inflammatory process. And the end result of this inflammatory process leads to the formation of a granuloma, and which causes caseous necrosis. So who are all the persons who are susceptible for this infection? Patients with diabetes mellitus, malnutrition, immunosuppression, and HIV. So let's look a lot about the primary one. The site is predominantly in the lungs, especially in the upper lobe of your lungs, and where there is something called as a gone focus, which is nothing but your collection of caseating granulomas. And along with the regional lymph nodes, it's called as a gone complex. So what happens to this caseating necrosis? It should undergo healing, which results in fibrosis. And when the healing does not occur properly, patient has reactivation, which is called as a secondary TB. So secondary TB, the other sites are your CNS, where it causes meningitis, when it can go to your genitourinary tract affecting your kidneys. It can also go to your testes and the epididymis, and abdomen. See, abdomen TB is a big cause where you swallow the sputum, which contains acid-fast bacilli, and it reaches your terminal ileum, where it gets lodged in your Peyer's patches, where you have a lot of lymphoid follicles, and the tubercular bacilli starts its proliferation, and the same caseating necrosis and granuloma starts to form in your abdomen also. So when it goes to your lymph nodes, there are other processes. So what happens in a lymph node is this lymph node gets affected and it gets inflamed, forming lymphadenitis. So whenever there is inflammation, the surrounding lymph nodes also get stuck together, and it called as mated lymph nodes. When these mated lymph nodes undergo further destruction, they form abscess, which you call it as cold abscess. So why is it called cold abscess? Because it does not have any features of inflammation. And when this cold abscess comes through your skin, it's called as a collar stud abscess. And it can either undergo rupture or a sinus formation. So what are all the pathological features? Pathologically, you will have the caseating necrosis, which is an hallmark feature, and the cavity formation. Cavity is where your caseous material get discharged into the surroundings, and eventually it leads with fibrosis and scarring, leading to bronchiectasis. So what are all the clinical features? For respiratory or the pulmonary tuberculosis, you have cough, breathlessness. This cough is of chronic type, which is for more than 14 days, and you have evening rise of temperature along with loss of weight and appetite. So secondary, it depends upon the site where it is lodged. When it goes to your hematogenous spread, it's called as a miliary TB. Going to your CNS, it causes meningitis. Going to your lymphatic, it causes cervical lymphadenopathy. Going into your abdomen, it causes peritoneal or intestinal TB. So what are all the investigations that you need to do? So anywhere before you want to start the treatment for tuberculosis, you have to demonstrate that the bacilli is in the site. So how do you demonstrate that? You do that with an AFB staining, which is nothing but Ziehl-Neelsen staining, which helps in identifying the acid-fast bacilli. So then you will have to grow the bacilli in Lowenstein-Jensen medium, but it takes a longer time for you to demonstrate the culture. So we have modern techniques such as the gene expert and the CBNAT, which helps in identification of the nucleic acid that is present within the tuberculi. It is called as a CBNAT, cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test. So this helps in demonstrating the bacilli as well as the drug resistance for the bacilli. So what is the imaging that we do? We do chest X-ray and CT. So once you have confirmed that the patient is suffering from tuberculosis, we have to manage. The management is predominantly medical, and surgical is preserved only for the complications of tuberculosis. So medical, you have to provide the patient with anti-tubercular therapy, which contains two steps. The first one is the intensive phase, where you give 4 drugs for 2 months, the continuous phase where you give 2 drugs for 4 months. The drugs that you give in the intensive phase are 4 types: isoniazid, rifampicin, ethambutol or streptomycin, and in the continuation phase you give only the isoniazid and rifampicin. So what are the guidelines for the TB? For adolescents and adults with pulmonary tuberculosis, you have to give a 4-month regimen which contains 2 months of isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide and moxifloxacin, followed by 2 months of isoniazid, rifampicin and moxifloxacin. For children who you categorize as a non-severe tuberculosis, you give it only for 4 months. So all other shorter regimens for drug-resistant TB. So drug-resistant TB is also called as a multi-drug resistant, where you have resistance towards rifampicin, and extremely drug-resistant, where you have the resistance to all the first-line treatment of tuberculosis. So we have regimens for this drug-resistant tuberculosis, where we have 2 regimens. The first regimen is called as the BPAM, where you give bedaquiline, pretominid, linezolid and moxifloxacin. And the other regimen we use is the BDLLFXC, which is the bedaquiline, delaminid, linezolid, levofloxacin and clofazimine. So why is this intensive phase and the continuous phase important? Is because of the complications that the TB can produce. In lungs, it can cause pulmonary fibrosis, bronchiectasis, it can cause bullae formation, which can rupture to form pneumothorax, and there can be secondary amyloid deposition. Surgically, where you want to intervene, when there is an abscess formation, you want to go ahead for an incision drainage, or when you want to do a confirmation where all the other techniques that you employed have failed to demonstrate the presence of acid phos bacilli, you take out the lymph node acids, which is called as excision biopsy. So that brings us to the summary. So why is TB important? It is a major health issue that affects the developing countries, especially the people from the lower socioeconomic status. So this primary TB can cause its complication leading to secondary TB, and wherever it gets lodged, that site has TB infection. So it can be a multisystorial infection that you can be dealing with. So early diagnosis and treatment with ATT is very, very important to prevent the complications. Thank you.